welcome back once again to our journey through Luke's gospel. We continue to draw ever nearer to his crucifixion as we journey with Jesus and his disciples as they set their course for Jerusalem. Last week, we looked at a couple of passages and examined yet another prediction of Jesus' death made by Jesus, and he gave more details this time about his death and his resurrection and what was going to happen. And this week, we are going to dive into what Jesus has to say about the coming of the kingdom of God. And so we're going to be backing up to Luke 17 this week. So this passage is prompted by a question from the Pharisees. We're told that one time they asked Jesus, "When will the kingdom of God come?" And so Jesus gives them an answer. And he says the coming of the kingdom of God is not something that can be observed, nor will people say, "Here it is," or "There it is," because the kingdom of God is in your midst. So the Pharisees very much want to know, when is the kingdom of God coming? But then after Jesus answers them, and I think it's so interesting because he tells them, because the kingdom of God is in your midst, meaning it is here among you. And in the one sense, we have that this Jesus, when he came to earth the first time, he ushered in the kingdom of God. And so in that sense, yes, it is in their midst. You can't really just go around and point to it. I guess you can point at Jesus, but they didn't know. They didn't know yet. So then Jesus turns to his disciples. And so the bulk of this conversation is directed to them. So let's go ahead and just read through it, and then we're going to talk through it piece by piece. "The time is coming when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, but you will not see it. People will tell you, 'There he is,' or 'Here he is.' Do not go running off after them, for the Son of Man in his day will be like the lightning which flashes and lights up the sky from one end to the other. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. Just as it was in the days of Noah, so also will it be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and being given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. But the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, no one who is on the housetop with possessions inside should go down to get them. Likewise, no one in the field should go back for anything. Remember Lot's wife. Whoever tries to keep their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life will preserve it. I tell you, on that night, 2 people will be in one bed, and one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding grain together, one will be taken and the other left." "Where, Lord?" they asked. He replied, "Where there is a dead body, there the vultures will gather." So one of the things that this passage illustrates is the nature of the kingdom of God. On the one sense, the kingdom of God is already, meaning that when Jesus came, he ushered it in. The kingdom of God is already here in your midst, as he told the Pharisees. But on the other hand, the kingdom of God is not yet, because Jesus will return. And when he returns, everything sad will become untrue, and he will usher in his reign forever. And the home of God will be with his people at the end of time. And we see those things as we read later on in the New Testament, specifically in Revelation. And so we have the kingdom of God with this kind of almost 2 natures. It's already, but it's not yet. So it's already here, but it's not yet fulfilled all the way. And so we hear that here in Jesus' answer, both to the Pharisees and in his words to his disciples. So as we're taking this passage and thinking about it, Jesus doesn't really give us like a calendar of events. Here's all the things that are going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and here's when they're going to happen, and we can put them on a calendar. Like, that's not what he's giving us. He's not giving us specific dates. He's not giving us specific times. He's not going to tell us how long it's going to be before he comes back. But what he does say is that the return will be sudden and it will be observable by all. He tells his disciples that people are going to say, "Hey, there he is. There's the Son of Man." or he's over here, and he tells them, don't chase after those things. Don't look for those signs. Don't just be looking for signs of the times. Don't spend all your time doing that. Because when Jesus does return, you're not going to be able to miss it. It's going to be obvious as lightning flashing across the sky. And so he says it will be observable by all people. But he also says, in verse 25, he says this, first he has to suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. So we have another prediction of his death here in the middle of this section. First, he has to die. First, the things that have to happen in Jerusalem have to happen. And then we get two examples from the Old Testament that Jesus points to. One is Noah and the other is Lot. And so we have comparisons here to the times of Noah. So Noah and the ark and Genesis, and Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in that for that one, and also in Genesis. And so he mentions here the people were going about their lives. They were doing all of their ordinary human things. They were eating, they were drinking, they were getting married, they were buying and selling, planting and building, do all of their normal human things up until the point that the flood happened, or up until the point that Lot and his family leave Sodom, and then Sodom and Gomorrah are destroyed. So people were just living in disregard of what was coming, distracted by the daily things of life, up to the point of destruction. But one of the other things that we have in this passage is both Noah and Lot and his family were saved. They were saved from this. God preserved them. He preserved Noah and his family. He preserved Lot and his family, with the exception of Lot's wife, who is used as a negative example a little bit further on in the passage. So Jesus uses the time of Noah and the time of Lot and uses their families as an example for what it will be like on the day that the Son of Man is revealed, on the day that Jesus returns. And so Jesus talks about how we shouldn't turn back to go and get our possessions on that day. You should not go back for anything. And then he uses Lot's wife as the example. So remember what happened to her is she turned to a pillar of salt because she turned back towards her home in Sodom. And that was what happened. And she had been warned not to, but she did it anyways. But then he also says that there'll be two people in bed, and one will be taken and the other one. And two people who are working together, two women grinding grain, and one will be taken and the other will not be. And so we have this illustration of how God's judgment is going to come. It will be sudden, and that it will be complete. Some will be rescued, some will not. Those who are prepared, those who are following Jesus, will be the ones who are saved. And then we come to this very last verse, and we get to the disciples' question. So the Pharisees, if you remember at the beginning, they asked Jesus, when is the kingdom of God coming? When is this going to happen? Well, the disciples have a different question. They want to know where. Where, Lord, they ask. Now, what are they asking where about? Well, that's a good question, because all they say is where, Lord. And so we have to kind of look back through the passage. And just so you know, this verse 37 has a variety of interpretations. Scholars have spent a lot of time thinking through and trying to understand exactly what Jesus means, because Jesus' answer to where is kind of a poetic saying. Where there is a dead body, there the vultures will gather. And so it's not really like a direct answer. So we have a couple things here. So what do the disciples mean by where? What are they asking, where is the kingdom of God? Well, Jesus already did kind of tell them where. Because he said the kingdom of God is in your midst. And so he's kind of answered that already. But do they mean where in the sense of where are these things going to take place? Like physically, where are they going to happen? Because Jesus doesn't really give them a direct answer to that. And also, are they asking where are these people going to go? Because he specifically had just said 2 people will be in one bed, one will be taken, the other will be left. 2 women will be grinding grain, will be taken, the other left. So where are these people who are being taken going? Where? Where are they going? So one of the things I think that we can take from this is Jesus is saying that to look where the vultures are gathering. Where do birds of prey tend to gather? Well, they tend to gather around dead bodies. And so it's almost like he's saying that judgment is going to come, it's going to happen, it's going to be complete. And you can notice where it's happening by looking at the signs. Where are the vultures? What is happening there? So it's kind of a sign after the fact. You'll see the birds circling, and then you'll know that judgment has happened, that it has already been done. So what is it that we're supposed to do? So I said earlier that this is not like a timeline of events. Jesus isn't saying, here's these things that are going to happen, and you'll know then that I'm coming back because all of these things will have happened, and you'll just know that's the next step. He doesn't give us a timeline. It would have been nice if he did, but he didn't. And so what are we supposed to do in the meantime? And I think one of those things is that we're not supposed to be so focused on the signs. Instead, we're to be ready. We're to be living our lives in a way that we're not looking backwards, that we are not being like Lot's wife, we're not looking behind us, but we are continuing to move forward in our journey with Jesus. That we are growing, that we are continuing to follow him and continuing to make him, Jesus, the Lord of our lives. Is he the one who is reigning in every area of my life? And so in that sense, we're called to be ready. We're called to be ready for Jesus's return. We should live each day as if he is coming back tomorrow or coming back today even, that his return is imminent, because we don't know. We want to be ready. We want to be alert and ready to respond to him when we see him. So I encourage you to look in your book. There's a list of things that they give us. It's towards the end of that chapter in the student books. And it tells you it gives you some things to think about. Are you ready? What is it that we're supposed to do in this time while we're waiting? If we're not supposed to be watching for signs, what is it we're supposed to do? But another thing I think we could take from this passage is that we shouldn't get too bogged down in the mundaneness of life and let those things distract us from following Jesus. We're called as followers of Jesus to participate in the work that he's doing in the world. And we should be doing those things. We should be sharing the good news with our neighbors. We should be serving others and staying focused in that way. We should be examining our lives and seeing what it is that might be still holding us back. Is there something that I'm holding on to that's keeping me from being all in my relationship with Jesus? And I think that's a really good thing to come to, especially as we look forward to the summer where we're going to be talking about Revelation. It's going to be so easy to get wrapped up in the signs and trying to figure out all of the details and how it's going to play out. And ultimately, the truth is we just don't know. We don't know the day. We don't know what it's going to look like. Jesus tells us it's going to be obvious. He tells us that we will, in fact, be rescued. We know that. We can hold on to that truth. But as far as all the details and the when and the where, he doesn't give us specific answers. But we know that the kingdom of God has already come and that it is coming still. It's already and it's not yet. And as followers of Jesus, our job is to be ready in the meantime. So thank you for joining me today, and we will continue our journey through this gospel. We have, I think, just 3 more weeks, and we will be finishing out this series. I'll see you then. Bye.